Hello everybody, Ron here with a look at Dragon Age Inquisition. In particular, in this video, we're going to take a look at the perk system of Dragon Age Inquisition. I have seen a lot of really great videos out there lately covering classes and class builds, but nothing that really covered the perk system of Dragon Age. The perk system is a cool new feature to the Dragon Age universe that allows you to earn perk points that you can then spend at the war table on perks that have a positive, sometimes subtle, not so subtle impact on the gameplay. So in this video we're going to go over how you earn perk points, what they are, the different perks. I'll give you my opinions on what are some of the best perks in the game, and some tips and tricks on how to unlock those perks a little bit faster. Now for starters, we're on the character attribute screen here, and that handsome lad that you see on your screen staring at you is my low-level warrior. I decided to get on with one of my low-level characters because I didn't want to spoil anything in this game. I want to keep this video as spoiler-free as possible, so I figured I'd play it safe, put on a low-level character, not like my level 18 or 19 rogue. So instead we're going to go and... sorry. Had a little bit of a brain meltdown there. We're on our attribute screen here because I want to explain how you earn perk points in the first place. If you look at the bottom right-hand side of your screen there, you're going to see two progress bars. The one on the right, that is your character's personal progress bar, his personal experience bar. And what happens is if you've ever played any type of RPG ever, you know how this works. You go out, you do quests, you defeat enemies, you're going to gain experience. Once you gain enough experience, you level up, you get shiny new skill points to spend. The green bar to the left of that that is the Inquisition level bar. And that is very similar to an experience bar, but instead of focusing on your character, it is focused on the Inquisition itself, the group you work for. It's the overall Inquisition. And just like the experience bar, instead of earning experience, you're going to earn influence. And once you earn enough influence, you level up the Inquisition. Every time you level up the Inquisition, you earn one perk point to go spend. You can earn influence very easily in the game, basically by just doing the things you normally would do that would give you experience. Completing quests, doing good deeds, going out and about, exploring, finding landmarks, planting your flag of Inquisitionist, which is very dramatic. He raises his hand and slams the flag down. Finding new campsites, basically just about everything will gain you influence. Closing fade rifts, things of that nature. And once you earn enough influence, you'll level up the Inquisition. Every time you level up Inquisition, you gain a new perk point. Just like you see above the bar there, I have one perk point to spend. So let's get out of here, and let's go to the actual war room. We need to go to the war table in order to spend those perk points. So let's go in here. Let's summon our war council. Let's get Josephine, Cullen, Liliana, Cassandra all around the war table. Let's take a look at perks. There they are. Now you'll notice when you have a perk point available to spend, the Inquisition perk screen automatically is going to pop up. Here's a quick little tip. Just because the screen pops up does not mean you need to spend that perk point. As you can see, since I have a perk point, this screen popped up. You can actually back out and just go back to the map and save that perk point for a later time. And I'll explain why as we go through the perks, why you might want to save and hold on to a perk point, not spend it right away. So let's go back to the perk screen and let's take a look at these things. You'll notice that they're broken down into 4 different categories. And the reason why is each category has a specific focus on a different aspect of gameplay. So for example, forces, that's Cullen's area, that's going to focus on combat. Things like extra healing potions, more focus, anything that really has to do with combat, you're going to find in this category. Secrets, that's Liliana's area, that's going to focus on like allowing your rogues to pick better locks, finding more items on the map, anything that has to do with like a scout rogue type feel. Connections, that's Josephine's area, that's going to have to do with speech, bartering, dealing with merchants, things of that nature. And then finally you have Inquisition, which is kind of like a general category that has focuses on like general gameplay improvements and things that has to do with your character, him or herself, your Inquisitor, things like extra bag space, things of that nature. So let's go up to the very first one and let's take a look at forces. Once you go inside here, you'll see Cullen is there. He's in charge of your forces, and you'll see a list of perks that you can purchase. Now, since I have one point available, you'll see that some of these I can spend a point in, but some of them have a lock symbol, are locked, and you cannot purchase them yet. That is because they have a requirement that you must meet first before you can unlock that particular perk. For example, this one requires that you purchase the perk ahead of it, Rider's Posture. Once you purchase that perk, then you can now purchase the next perk down. Some of the perks need you to do certain things in the game, like, for example, True Grit here. The only way you can unlock this perk in order to purchase it would be to capture any keep. You can capture a keep as you progress through the game. Later on in the game, you'll find keeps on certain maps that you can battle through and capture. And once you do that, once you capture a keep, you will have this ability unlocked to purchase, and that applies to all the other categories as well. They'll have perks that you can only purchase once you capture any keep. Once you capture one keep, that's all you need to do is capture one keep. It unlocks the ability to purchase any of these perks that are locked because of a keep. Some of them, like this more healing potions, you'll see that you need to spend 3 points in this category in order to unlock the ability to purchase this perk. Now, here is a really big tip that really will help you unlock perks in the future. You do not need to spend the perks that you earn in order to make that requirement of 3 perks. So, for example, here I have one perk that I spent on this, I don't even know how you pronounce that, Machis method. But this one all the way in the bottom here, this Lord Bernard, I did not purchase this perk. What happens is as you're out in the game and you're talking to NPCs and you're questing and you're exploring, you'll run across NPCs that you can talk to and recruit to the Inquisition. These aren't the same as your party members. These are separate little NPCs that you can recruit, and they'll come in, they'll join the Inquisition, and depending on what they bring to the Inquisition, they will be listed under different categories. So, for example, this Lord Bernard here, I found him out in the hinterlands. Once I recruited him and his band of warriors joined the Inquisition, and they are now listed under the forces category as a perk. So that counts towards your overall total of perks. So I now actually technically have 2 perks spent in this category. One that I purchased myself, and another one that I purchased that I didn't purchase, that I got by recruiting an agent. So if we take a look at that healing potion one, you see I need 3 points in that category. Well, I already have 2. I could spend this perk point that I have on something in here to unlock the more healing potions category, but the problem is there's nothing in here that I want right now. So instead of spending that perk point, I can just either spend it somewhere else or hold on to it and wait till I recruit another agent and then spend it that way. So in other words, by doing that and keeping in mind that you're going to get agents later as you progress through the game, you can save your perk points for more important perks, because you'll earn a decent amount of perk points by the time you get to the end of the game, but you still will not be able to unlock and purchase every single perk that's available. And some perks are much more important to purchase than others. So just keep that in mind. So if you're not 100% sure on what you want to buy, or you think you might you're about to go to a brand new town and you think you might be able to recruit a new agent, just hold off on that perk. All right, so let's go over these different perks here real quick. Every category, the very first perk that's available in each category is called a knowledge perk. And what knowledge perks do is they open up new dialogue options depending on, for that specific category, and they give you a 50% bonus experience to any codec entry you find out in the world dealing with that category. So, for example, this is underworld knowledge. If you're out and about and any paper you pick up, any book you read, any sign you read, anything that has to do with the underworld, like bandits and thievery and bards or something like that, you're going to get a 50% bonus experience for that particular item that you unlock, for that piece of paper or book you read. Purchasing these perks can really have a huge impact on how fast you level up in the game. So if you're looking to kind of power level as fast as you can through the game and out level the areas that you're in to make the game a little bit easier, these are good perks to purchase for that reason. But if you play the game kind of as it's meant to be played, as most people would play an RPG, you explore every area, you do every side quest, it really becomes unnecessary. I've never purchased these perks and found that I needed to have them in order to level up. I've easily out-leveled an area or most areas by just going around doing every single side quest, finding every little landmark, just exploring the map and having a good time. So that's not necessary. The other side effect you get from these knowledge perks is it unlocks dialogue options. So, for example, if you're out and about and you talk to an NPC and they have a specific dialogue that pertains to the underworld, if you unlock this perk, you'll be able to have that dialogue option. However, it's not necessary because, for example, if you need the underworld knowledge dialogue, what would happen is if you had Varric or Sarah with you, who are your rogues, they would then in turn allow you to have that dialogue option. and actually it can be much more entertaining to listen to their opinions and their dialogue option than to have your own. So it's not a necessary thing. As long as you have the proper party member in your party, you really don't even need that extra dialogue option. Now, if you need to spend it in order to unlock further perks, you could do worse. But again, unless you really want to overlevel the area, it's honestly not worth it. This one that I did purchase here, this is called, again, I don't know how to pronounce that, Massachusetts method. What this one does is it gives you a flat 5% increase to every enemy that you defeat. And the reason why I purchased this is, one, I needed an extra perk in the category, but two, instead of that big 50% bonus that you get by reading, codec entries, this one is, you're going to obviously do a lot of battling in this game. You're going to defeat a lot of enemies, and this is a nice, steady, flat, small bonus to your, to your overall increase in experience. So it's not a huge gain at one time. It's more of a slow, steady gain of experience. So all of my different characters that I made in this game, I've always picked this one, and again, it's just a nice, steady. Wow, did I just say what I think I said? A nice, steady, slow trickle of experience. Wow. If I said what I think I said, my apologies. Woo! Anyway, wow. Let's go down, before I get myself into more trouble, let's go down to the next two perks. These ones are totally worthless. These are called Rider's Posture and an Even Stitch Saddle. What these do is, in the game you can get mounts, and you can ride your mount all around the map, all around the world. And the mounts are beautiful. They did a great job with these mounts, and they're fun to ride, but all these perks do is stop you from getting unseated. So let's say you're on your mount and you see a bandit camp ahead and you charge in with your steed, you gallop in. You can get knocked off your saddle. All these perks do is help prevent you from getting knocked off, but really, other than doing it one time for fun just to see what it looks like, you're not going to be galloping in on your steed into battle. You're going to get off. If you do use your mount, which I very rarely do, but if you do use your mount, you're going to get off your mount. You're going to get prepared for the battle. You're going to charge in using your skills and stuff. You're not going to go running in, charging in on your steed. Again, it's fun to watch if you never did it before, but other than that, it's totally unnecessary. So both of these perks, they both affect getting knocked off your saddle. Totally unnecessary, a waste of perks. You can spend them elsewhere and get much better bang for your buck. Now, these next two perks in Cullen's category here is Advanced Focus and Master Focus. And what these do is they unlock the next tier of focus for your focus abilities. Later in the game, as you progress through the game, you're going to unlock a new type of skill that uses focus. Focus is different than mana or stamina. It's an entirely different resource. And what these perks do is each focus ability has 3 tiers, Tier 1, 2, and 3. By default, you unlock Tier 1. But if you purchase these Advanced Focus and Master Focus, you're going to unlock Tier 2 and Tier 3, which makes those focus abilities much more powerful. Focus abilities are pretty good. They're pretty cool. Each of your party members have a different focus ability depending on your character itself. You'll end up having 2 different focus abilities you can have, and they are very powerful and very useful in the game. So later in the game, this is something you may want to start to unlock. I've unlocked the Tier 2. I never unlocked Tier 3. I never found it necessary. I've been able to play through the game very easily without the extra tiers of focus, but without a doubt, it does make those focus abilities much more powerful. So if you like to use your focus abilities a lot, this is something you may want to purchase. The next one down, after you capture a keep, you can get a perk called True Grit, which adds a 10% increase to all defenses. Not really necessary. I guess if you had an extra perk to spend and you didn't have any place else you wanted to spend it, you could do worse than getting a 10% increase to defenses, but not really necessary. Between the items you're going to craft, the armor weapons you're going to craft, all the different accessories you can find, the different things you can get, you'll pretty much have your defenses up well enough. Even if you go up against, say, like a dragon, if you need to have some fire resistance, you can just equip the proper accessories, use potions, things of that nature. You really do not need this. It's again, if you just have an extra point to spend somewhere, you could do worse than getting a 10% increase to all your defenses, but it's not necessary. The next one is what I consider a must-have perk for any type of player, no matter how you're playing the game, and that is more healing potions. What this perk does is it increases your maximum number of potions from 8 to 12. And that 4 extra potions doesn't sound like a lot, but it actually can make a big difference in the game. I wouldn't say the game's hard. Even on Nightmare, once you start to actually, if you properly level up your character and you have pick the proper skills and you learn how to play, the game's difficult, but not frustratingly so. But the extra potions can come in handy when you get overwhelmed, or let's say you wandering into a new area that is above you, and it can make the difference between you wiping and having to reload, or just having your entire party just barely making it through. The extra 4 potions is definitely a must-have, especially for your actual other party members, because unless you're constantly in tactical camera mode, you'll find that they do tend to get themselves in a little bit of trouble here and there, and you will need the potions for them more so than for yourself. The next 3 perks that you can unlock here, which are also pretty important. I wouldn't say they're necessary. They're not ones that you have to have, but they are actually really good perks, especially early on in the game if you can unlock them as early as possible. And these 3 perks are unlock schematics that allow you to have brand new higher tier schematics that you can use to build new weapons and armor. So you have mage schematics, rogue schematics, and warrior schematics. So let's say you're playing a mage, you pick the mage schematics, you're going to unlock a new staff that you can craft and some new armor, and usually they're much better than the stuff that you currently have. However, the earlier you unlock this in the game, the better, because 1, you can use a more powerful weapon and armor early in the game, and 2, once you get further on into the game, these schematics are still decent, but you'll probably find schematics that are higher tier than that. So, again, they're very useful, especially if you can unlock them in the game. I wouldn't say they're 100% necessary, but I always purchase them. What I do is I always focus on purchasing the one that applies to my character first. So, for example, I'm playing a warrior this time, I would purchase the warrior schematics first. And then maybe later on, if I had extra perk points to spend, I'd buy ones for the rogue and for the mage so I can, craft those items for my party members. Alright, so that's forces. Let's go under secrets. Once again, you see that this time you have an arcane knowledge. Same thing as all the other knowledge perks. You're going to get an extra 50% bonus and other dialogue options. The next one down is called optimal cutting. This is a complete waste of a perk point. What this does is give you a 10% chance to receive extra herbs whenever you harvest a herb. If you keep your eyes open and you're willing to just take the few extra seconds to pick everything that you see as you wander through the game, you definitely do not need this. 1, it's only a measly 10% chance, so that doesn't mean it's going to happen every time. And 2, you're going to be floating in herbs. Maybe not at the beginning of the game, but by the time you get moving, you're going to have enough herbs that you're not even going to know what to do with them. So again, completely unnecessary perk. Eagle-Eyed, speaking of unnecessary perks, this one is probably the worst perk in the entire game. And the reason why I say that is if you look, it says, this grants a significant increase to the discovery range of the searching action. When you're out in the game and you're playing, if you press in, I'm playing on the PS4, if you press in on the left stick, you get this little sonar ring that comes out from your character, and it highlights anything in the area that you can loot or pick, or any kind of special item in the area that you can interact with. All this does is make that ring a little bit bigger, but by default, that ring is already big enough that it covers pretty much the area that you're standing in. So unless you don't feel like pressing the stick that often, this really is a completely unnecessary perk. You're going to find everything anyway. All you do is every time you get to you move a few feet, or you go into a new area and you think there's going to be something there, just press in the stick, look at your sonar, and you'll find everything you need. This is completely unnecessary perk. The next one down, this is called Enhanced Studies, and what this does is this gives you an additional 50% experience for every creature that you research. When you defeat creatures out in the game, very often they'll drop items that you can turn into your researcher, and that researcher will research that item and find ways that you can defeat that enemy easier and give you a bonus, and you also get experience every time you turn in a research item. What this does is give you an additional 50% experience bonus to that research item. Now the catch with this one though is it also applies retroactively. So say you're halfway through the game, you purchase this perk. Once you purchase this perk, you back out of the war table, you're going to see your experience bar just shoot up. You'll probably end up gaining anywhere from 1 to 2 levels just by purchasing this perk, especially if you do it about halfway through the game, because it applies retroactively. So anything you've already researched before you buy this perk, and then everything that you research from the time you purchase this perk and on, you're going to get a 50% bonus experience point. So if you're out questing, you haven't picked up those knowledge perks, you're out and about and you're thinking, you know what, I wouldn't mind being at least another level or two higher. You haven't purchased this perk yet, go ahead and purchase it. You're going to see your level, your experience bar just shoot right on up. Deft Hands Fine Tools. This is a must-have perk in the game. It's actually kind of out of place because all the other perks, technically, you really don't need. You can get them, but you wouldn't need them really to complete the game. This one, what this does is this unlocks the ability for any rogue, you, if you're playing a rogue, or Varric or Sarah, to lockpick master locks. Those are the highest tier locks in the game. Now, you would think that you wouldn't necessarily need them because usually stuff that's behind locks might just be some extra items or whatever, but if you're looking to collect every single item in the game, every mosaic piece, every bottle, you must purchase this perk because there are stuff that's going to be locked behind locked doors that only can be unlocked by a rogue that has the master locked ability, the Deft Hand Fine Tool. So this is a must-have perk. You don't need to purchase this first thing. You can wait a little bit into the game because once you purchase this, you can go back to areas that you found locked doors. They will they'll stay as a lock symbol on your map, so you'll easily be able to find those doors later on. You can go back and unlock those doors. But again, if you plan on gathering, if you're a completionist and you plan on gathering every single item in the game, you're going to need this perk. Forward Scouts is another really good perk. It's the first one that I purchased after I capture any keep. What this does is it reveals additional landmarks and points of interest on your map. So this comes in very handy for finding logging sites, quarries, things of that nature on your map. By default, your actual map is pretty useful. It'll show quests. It will show some landmarks. It will show, once you look for shards, it will show shards, things of that nature. But having the Forward Scouts will help you find other landmarks, like it says, and also the things like logging camps and quarries, which actually do not show up on your map by default, and they're actually kind of easy to bypass because you'll be out questing, fighting, and you might not see that pile of logs sitting off to the side that is a, they don't have this giant beacon over them, this flashing neon sign that says, hey, I'm a logging site. So you could easily overlook those if you don't have this perk, so this is a really nice perk to have. These next three, Training Herbalist, Veteran, and Master Herbalist, all this does is, by purchasing these, you'll get delivered to you a collection of herbs. For example, this first one gives you tier 1 herbs. Next one will give you more uncommon herbs like tier 2. And then the third one will give you like tier 3 herbs and such. Again, if you're out there, you're paying attention, you you explore everywhere, you pick every herb that not every single herb, but most herbs that you see. Again, these are things that you're probably not going to, these are perks you're not going to need. Because you'll find enough perks that you can have some. You have your normal perks. You have your normal herbs, but you also have special herbs that you're going to need to upgrade your potions. Even without these 3 perks, you will probably, if you do enough exploring and enough picking, and I'm not talking like grinding and farming. I'm talking just going through the area and picking the stuff. You will find more than likely enough herbs that you will not need to purchase these perks. And this last one is just like previously. This is not a perk that I purchased. This is a person that an agent that I acquired early on in the game. Now the next thing we have is connections, and this is Josephine's area. Out of all the areas, out of all the categories, in my opinion, this is the least useful category. I like Josephine as a character; she's great, but unfortunately, her category of perks is pretty much useless in the game. Again, you have your nobility knowledge. This is going to, just like the other ones, give you a bonus to experience and unlock new dialogue options. Again, not necessary, so we'll just go ahead past that. The rest of her perks have to do with usually dealing with merchants. So, for example, this one, Sterling Reputation, you purchase this and you're going to get a 10% more gold for items that you sell. Really not necessary because, for one, most of the merchants don't have anything that you're really going to want to buy from them in the first place. I mean, there are a few things here and there that you're going to buy, mostly schematics, but you're going to be swimming in loot in this game. And if you just take the stuff back and sell it, you're going to have more than enough gold to purchase any schematics you find. You're going to have more than enough gold to purchase all the different upgrades that you can purchase for your keep. basically, again, this is something that's not really necessary. I mean, if you use merchants a lot and you really, really want the extra money, you could purchase these perks, but it's not going to make that big of a difference or make that huge of an impact in the game. So this first one gives you 10% more items that you sell. The next one, you'll get a 10% discount on items that you buy from them. The third one, the shops will offer to buy and sell for 15% better prices. Again, you are going to be selling a ton of items in the game, so this would add up over time. But from my experience playing through the game, I have not seen a real need for these perks. It's just, you're going to be making enough money as is, so really kind of not a worthwhile perk. And then you also have rare stocks. What would happen here is she'll purchase some raw materials for you in order to craft. So just like with the herb perk in the secrets category this time, instead of getting herbs, you're going to get things like leathers and ores and stuff like that. Again, if you're actually out there exploring, you're looting everything you see, you pick and mine everything you see, you're not going to need this. The next tier would be higher level quality materials. And then finally, only the finest is you're going to get you the ultra rare, very highest quality materials for crafting. If you have room and you have everything else that you wanted to purchase perk-wise, I would actually probably purchase this, like say over like the herbs or something else like that, because, the crafted items that you can make in the game are going to almost always be far and away better than the stuff that you can find or purchase from vendors. So it could pay off. But unlike the schematics perk that you can purchase early in the game, I would say this one isn't as useful because, again, you will find all these rare materials out there if you just keep your eyes open and look around. The short list, I've honestly never purchased this perk, so I can't honestly say if it would be worthwhile or not. Because for starters, you need 5 points in this category, which unless you recruit enough agents for her, you'll never really get there. But what happens is they will give you special access to their rare inventory. I haven't seen it, so I don't know what they may or may not have. So maybe at some point what I might do is experiment with this, and as I level up a character, try to purchase this perk to see what it is. But from my understanding, there's nothing to write home about. And then the final one here is Friends in High Places. What this will do is a messenger will come by and say that a certain store is having a sale. Again, you'll have enough money, not really necessary. This would be an easier perk to purchase because once you capture a keep, this would unlock. But again, it's not, unless you are just dying to deal with every merchant and every vendor in the game, completely unnecessary. And finally, we have Inquisition. And if you take a look here, we have, once again, another knowledge perk. If you were to purchase just one knowledge perk in the entire game and you wanted to do it right away as soon as you got your first perk, my opinion, this would be the one that I would pick because this one opens up new dialogue options related to chantry and history and gives you a 50% bonus for each codec entry that falls in that category of history or chantry. Especially early on in the game and really throughout the entire game, you are going to stumble across a lot of codec entries, papers, books, and such that deal with history or the chantry. So if you want to make the most out of one of your knowledge perks, this would be the best one to take because this one will give you probably the biggest bang for your buck. The next one down is Antivan Tailoring. This one is, I'm a pack rat, so this is a must-have for me. What this does is this gives you a 15 extra inventory spaces. So while you're out and about questing, you can go longer before going back to a vendor to sell. It's very easy to just go to a vendor in this game. You can easily just come back to either your base of operations here, or you could go to a town really easy from the map. You can fast travel. So it's not necessary, but there are times where you're going to be doing the actual main story quest lines, and you're going to be going a pretty decent amount of time before you get through that quest line and are able to sell the items that you did loot. So having that extra 15 inventory slots will help in those cases. So it never hurts to have extra inventory spaces, and especially for those main quest lines. So if you have that extra space, you'll be less likely to have to destroy something that you would have preferred to either keep or sell. And then the very next perk after that is the Imperial Court Tailoring, and this adds an extra 15 more slots onto your inventory. So if you take both of these perks, you're going to end up with 90 inventory slots, which even if you are a pack rat like me, that'll be plenty of inventory spots. You won't need anything more than that. The next one down is Tempered Glass Flask, and what this does is it adds another potion slot for all your party members. By default, you have 2 potion slots. One that's shared by everybody that is a potion slot for healing potions. And you also get a second potion slot that you can either put potions or flasks or grenades or what have you in there. And each character, each party member has their own specific potion slot. So, for example, Solus might have he's your mage, and he might have lyrium potions, or you can have Varric have grenades in that potion slot. What this does is this opens a third potion slot. So besides having your healing potions, you can now have 2 separate potion slots. Maybe have I don't know, rock potion in one spot and some grenades in the other one. So this just gives you more potions. I usually skip this perk only because I tend to forget to use potions in the first place. Other than healing potions, I really never use potions that often. It's probably not very smart of me because the potions have some pretty nice benefits, and there's some pretty cool grenades and effects that you can get. So if you're smarter than I am and you tend to use your potions more often, this could be a really good perk for you to purchase because you can have that many more potions and flasks with you. So definitely something worthwhile to purchase. Exclusive training. This is one of those other perks that fall along in completely unnecessary. What it does is you spend a perk point and you gain 1 ability for your character only, not for the entire party, just for your character. By default, if you buy a couple other perks in this category, you're going to end up having enough perks to meet the requirement of 4. But really, if you're leveling up properly and you're exploring and you're leveling up, you're going to have plenty of skill points already. You really won't need any more. I find that once you get more knowledge of your character and you have everything that everything set just so, you'll have extra skill points left over that you end up just placing, just spending just as filler points. Maybe a few minor passive abilities or such. In other words, long story short, you really don't need this. It won't make a huge difference in the game. Again, your mileage may vary. You may not level up as much, or you may have spent everything, all the other perks that you need. You may have everything else you needed purchased, and you're like, oh, what do I do with these extra perk points? Well, getting a couple extra, exchanging them for a couple extra skill points couldn't hurt. But again, not totally necessary. And this Horse Master Dinner, this is again another one. Not a perk. This is an agent that I recruited as we moved along in the game. So again, those are your perks. There are a few that are, in my opinion, necessary, like the extra healing potions from forces, getting the Deft Hand Find Tools, the ability to pick master locks from secrets, and the added inventory space from the Inquisition category. Those are my 3 top ones that I would pick. After that, I would definitely go after, if you're early on in the game, go after the Mage Schematics or Warrior, whatever class you're playing, because that does help out a lot. But other than that, most of them are going to just be based on your playstyle. Also, I would definitely pick up the forward scouts that highlight more secrets or things on your map. Once you purchase those first 4, after that, everything else is gravy. So just, pick things that go along to your play style. And that's pretty much it. By the time you get through the game, I'm not exactly sure how many perks you have. I want to say off the top of my head 20. Don't hold me to that. But there's enough that you definitely won't need. You definitely won't be hurting for perk points. So just keep that in mind. However, one thing you need to be aware of, once you spend a perk point, you can't reassign it. So short of reloading a previous save, you're stuck with that perk point once you spend it. So when in doubt, if you're not 100% certain what you should buy, just hold that perk point until you maybe get a little bit further in the game and you might want to you figure out what you want to spend it on. But other than that, that is it. That is perks. Those are what you do with them. I hope this video is helpful, and enjoy the game. If you haven't purchased the game yet, you just happen to stumble on this video, this is by far one of the better RPGs I've played in a very long time. It's the best in the series. This is the third game of the series, and it is fantastic. Until then, until next time, as always, thank you for watching. Happy New Year. Have a great day, and I'll see you.